Welcome back to Pass the Torch, Legacies in Jewelry. My name is Naja Desabandiste, and I am joined today by Brady Mesch, who is my dear friend and mentor, and pretty much the inspiration behind this podcast at large, which I think it's funny that it's taken so long to get you on the podcast, but we're doing it today. It's going to be so fun. I have just deeply enjoyed getting to know you over the last several years, and you have totally taken me under your wing and have spent hundreds of hours in the shop with me, talking shop, teaching me, demoing. I was telling my family, outside of my family, I think you're the person that I spend the most time with. So thank you so much for all that you do.
Thank you for having me on.
Yeah.
This is awesome.
And, when this podcast was just a blink of an eye of an idea, it came about because you and I were just having such awesome in-depth conversations that were inspiring and formative. And I remember leaving one of our shop days thinking to myself, gosh, I wish I could capsule that conversation and save it and re-listen to it at a later time. And so that's why this even came to be, is because I wanted to, one, honor the people that have mentored and inspired me, and secondly, just save it for myself, for my own selfish reasons to be able to look back and remember. So I look forward to having you on more in the future. We'll get into some of our shop conversations, I'm sure, at large, but for now, we're just going to take today to talk about you and learn a little bit more about you, if you're okay with that.
Yeah, absolutely.
We are in person in Brady's gorgeous Evergreen showroom and shop. Can you tell us a little bit about your space?
Yeah. So this space, it's taken 4 or 5 years to build. Really just been carefully curated to reflect the kind of work that we're doing here and the style and kind of take it out of like a traditional retail kind of setting that most people would expect.
Right.
And give a really special experience.
And you're by appointment only. And people can come in and see your workshop. So everyone has like a peek. You have a window into your workshop where you're working. Can you kind of really quickly, for people who aren't familiar with your work, describe the kind of work that you do?
Yeah, of course. So I hand fabricate everything, start to finish. There aren't very many people that do it. They're very good, exceptional. They inspired me to do that as well and keep that kind of handcraft alive. It takes quite a bit to do something like that. And I think that was a big kind of creative risk in my career to choose that path, because there's so many other ways to do it that could really streamline a lot of things. To me, it just doesn't feel quite right to do it that way. I like everything about it. So yeah, in doing that, it's a very special thing to get. In the end, it's a one-of-a-kind piece of art.
And that's what I've been trying to explain to my family when I mentioned, hey, I want to pivot my career path and be a jeweler. That was a bit confusing because there are different types of jewelers. And what you and I love, what the love that we share, is the artisan jeweler, which is handcrafted, one-of-a-kind pieces of art, truly. And so there are many different ways to make jewelry. But the kind of approach that has captured our heart and our attention is the craftsmanship approach.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, there's many different ways that jewelry is created, and I've worked in every aspect of it, and I loved every bit of it as well. It's amazing to restore a ring. I worked in jewelry repairs for years, mass manufacturing, all those things, and it's still amazingly fun to do that. But I really fell in love with this side of it.
And very often, the general consensus that I understand the general public to observe is that your work is so precise. You're very, very just exceptional attention to detail. Where did that come from? How did that, get refined in you? Was that taught to you? Were you always just kind of like that? Because I think what's special about your work, and I want to preface this because this is really important. Your work is so precise, but it doesn't look like it was made by a machine. It has an artistry component to it. You have a balance in you that you can tell that your work is made by hand. Yet it is so beautifully, meticulously put together. Where did that come from?
So I think what drew me to pursue such a high standard of craftsmanship was the respect for materials. We typically work in very expensive and very rare materials that take so much to get out of the earth and processed into a form that we can use to really have that reflected in it's truly a thing.
Yeah. Keep what is precious, precious, basically.
Mm-hmm.
If something is a treasure, honor it by elevating the treasure aspect of it.
Yeah, exactly.
You do such fine chasing and repoussé. There's one specific ring that's coming to mind, but you have the ability to basically completely transform a flat sheet of metal. And you do it on such a small scale. It blows my mind every time I see it. Can you talk about that skill set? Because you have many skill sets. We'll get into a lot of them, but that's one of them that I think is really unique about your particular approach to jewelry. Can you tell me a little bit more about how you first got exposed to chasing and repoussé?
My first exposure to chasing repoussé was a class that I took with an engraver, one of the very best in the world, Elaine Muffenberg. And he had this project for us. The centerpiece was a chase and repoussé gold lion's head. And we couldn't do it in class because it was too much work. Not even to try to show us or anything. And I was like, that is amazing. I have to learn how to do that. I pursued that and learned from a 17th generation chasing repoussé artist in his method, using the same tools that the Renaissance artists used, but all the best, most important artists of that time, like Cellini, and learning their techniques. My work still has a long way to go on that, but it's just been really cool to be exposed to things like that. Using those techniques also at a small scale, under the microscope with engraving equipment, adapting those things to small scale works as well.
Yeah, I love your hand engraving because it's so ornate and beautiful. What was the first moment that you realized I want to pursue hand engraving?
I think the original appeal of hand engraving, because it's such a specialized skill, you could just be a hand engraver and make a career out of that. I thought it added an element to my work and having ideas for what I wanted to get those ideas completed. So that was what drew me at first to it, was just having more complex work, things I wanted to do.
Yeah, so in addition to your chasing and repoussé, your amazing hand engraving, your stone setting techniques, you hand fabricate everything.
Okay, let's back up a little bit. Because the reason I've really wanted to learn so many different techniques was exploring this business. It had no connections. A high school art class is what introduced me to this kind of work, and I didn't even know it was a profession, not a clue. That people, this was their job. First thing I learned how to do was carving wax and doing lost wax casting. And I've always loved working with my hands, and I did everything: ceramics, painting, drawing, everything like that. And the moment I did this, it was like time just didn't exist. And I was just like, wow, this is really meant for me, I think. So to just study every little aspect of it, but then putting all of that together to create something that tells a story.
And you see it in the signature of your work with all of your elements put together. You are able to so beautifully blend the chasing room repoussé, the hand engraving, the excellent stone setting, the hand fabrication, all of it coming together really creates your signature and your look, which is so unique to you. And it is an honor to study under you, truly.
Yeah, thank you. So in creating a look, it's not to really worry about what your style is. What you do is what makes it special, and that'll show. That's why you can recognize who worked on something, who made it, is because that's just a reflection of them. I don't think that they're really trying to say, this is my style and my look. It's just who they are.
And it's evident right off the bat.
Yeah.
That's cool. Can you talk us through your creative process from initial concept to final polished piece? Or not polished. You tend to very often leave a texture on your pieces.
So my process for creating a new piece, I think has really changed over the years. I would originally sketch something and have a very detailed idea in my mind. And now I have loosened up on that. It's a little bit more free flowing and not, a lot of my stuff is really classical. And I think the kind of restrictions of that being so precise and perfect and all the angles just right and everything is hasn't allowed so much for creativity, and that's something that I'm moving away from, like moving forward.
I was going to say, I think it's something that you're excited about because you've spent all of these years developing such a precise craft that now you really get to break the rules. Because not that there were any rules in jewelry to begin with, but you certainly had an approach that was really exact. I've seen lots of jewelers, and you have the most diligent approach. And I think that you can remain diligent, but I think you can also bend and shape your creativity in a new way in this upcoming season. And I'm excited for you.
I'm excited too. I think it'll be really interesting.
What are you gearing up for in the coming months? What are the new heights that you want to reach?
I think a new thing that I'm gearing up for right now, just in the future, not just in the coming months, kind of just as a new philosophy, way to work, is not so much looking at jewelry as a product, but as a piece of art. So taking all of those things and making it as unique as a painting or a sculpture. It's just a mini sculpture.
I love that. It really is. It takes just as much time.
Mm-hmm.
How many hours do you think you put into your pieces? And I'm being very specific to not say commissioned pieces, because I know you put a lot of hours into those too. But when you're making pieces for you,
it really all depends. Could be anywhere from 20 to 400 hours.
well,
Everything's so labor intensive. And I have pieces that I've in the works for a couple of years now. They just really reflect the time and energy that was put into them.
you and I take a lot of time to talk shop and talk about what we do want to do and what we don't want to do and how we want to move, not only through the industry, but just through the art world at a larger capacity.
Something that somebody said to me once was that we have the most important job in the world. And when I heard that, I was just like, there's just no way. Like, sure, there are so many more important things to do. But she said, no, when you think about it, though, you're helping people celebrate the most important, most significant things in their life. It's typically a very happy time. Even if it isn't, it's so special. And that made sense to me, and I started to believe that. We do have an important, significant job. I don't want to lose sight of that in what we make, what that means to people. It's not just to flex and have the biggest thing and flash a lot of money. It's a really special thing.
Yeah. I think it's important for jewelers to remember that they can shake the earth not with super expensive or unobtainable pieces, but by being really intentional with the pieces that are entrusted to them.
Yeah, exactly. The luxury isn't always in the most expensive materials and how much gold is in it, and all the diamonds and the really intense skill set involved. It's in the artist in transforming it into something meaningful and representative of what it's for.
Is there a particular project in your head that you're looking forward to bringing into real life?
So I think a couple of projects that are really exciting coming up right now are I have some curated collections. One in an art gallery in Naples, Florida, and a few others that they aren't typically jewelry, but they are using jewelry techniques, which I think is going to be real cool in just making unique objects.
Yeah, that's super cool. And a few things I know you can't necessarily talk about yet because they're in development, but I'm excited for you. I'm excited for this next chapter of your life and for your business, because now it feels like you've almost entered a new era. You're really settled into this space. You're settled into your shop. You've built your shop. You've built your bench, which is so cool. And you have this entire studio and showroom dedicated to giving clients an experience. Can you tell me a little bit about what you hope clients feel and experience when they walk into this space?
So my goal for clients and what they feel when they walk into this space is that they just experience luxury and that they are here and they're the most special person in the world. They're looking at one-of-a-kind things, hopefully that speaks to them, that they don't really get an experience like this too often, and that it's very meaningful and memorable to them.
It becomes a core memory as far as their most treasured objects on planet Earth. We have an opportunity to give them something that passes through generations. Something that I love about your work, and you and I have had this conversation before, but something that I love about your work is that it is so precise, but it doesn't lose its artistic hand. And I think that that's really important. Very often, people can get really wrapped up in being so precise that it loses its balance and its nature of adornment, if you will. Where sort of does the centrifugal of your creative approach start?
Yeah, I think exactly that is almost to not overthink it or overdo it. If the goal is to have that machined look, then a machine should make it. But a human did. We're not robots. I think there's a difference of being overly precise and then also being sloppy and kind of being in between, like recognizing a highly skilled hand, but not to be lazy. It's kind of where that balance is.
Balance is a good word. I think technical mastery is evident when you come across it. I find that a lot of pieces, if they're so overly precise, but they're not in balance, they tend to lose me a little bit. They don't speak to me the way that something with a little bit of quirkiness to it will speak to me.
Yeah, I think the quirkiness is really cool. Add your personality to it. I think there's definitely a time and a place where having the most perfect bright cut and level stones and all the tables reflect at the same time in your pave that's crazy to do.
And important to do.
That could be your personality. It's really respectable, that high level of skill too. I think there's a place for it all. So it's to kind of add your own little thing to it. And yeah, make it yours.
I have had the pleasure of knowing you for 6 years now, and I marvel at how much you have grown in the last 6 years and how much you have really come into the ownership of this business and the ownership of your name, your brand, your likeness, your creativity, all of it. What makes you feel most confident in your work?
I think one thing about my work that I really try to have on every single piece is I care about what goes out to the world with my name on it. And I want, if you were to take it into any other workshop and they look at it, they'll go like, wow, this is really nice. I think that's something that I strive for, is the recognition in what it is, which actually has happened a few times. I've gotten that feedback. That had a client walk into a store in Florida with her ring on. They were like, "Oh, Brady made that." I was like, "Wow, no way! That is really cool."
That's super cool. When we first met, you were a little shy, and I've always been kind of an extrovert, which I think is obvious on this podcast. But, you know, I kind of tracked you down, if you will, because I really wanted to get to know you, because I thought you were just absolutely fascinating, and I so respected your work. And I have had the privilege of watching you evolve.
Yeah, I think it takes a extrovert to latch on some introvert. Get them out of their shell. And that's one thing that you're helping me doing right now, which is really important. But yeah, so honestly, where I'm at today, I think in the last maybe a little over a year or so, has had just a tragic events happen. And honestly, creativity has taken a back seat in this whole thing. It's just been focusing on commissioned work, but not really doing my own designs. I think I've reached a point now where that's starting to come back. Mm-hmm. I've had some really special, amazing people supporting me in helping me to get back to that point. And I'm really grateful for them. So to come back and get that kind of passion fire started again is happening right now.
I'm so proud of you. You get to rediscover your creativity, and it's something that you have expressed to me as something that you are not only excited to do, but dedicated to doing. And it's going to be a wonderful next chapter for you. And I am pumped. I'm so excited.
Thank you.
Yeah. You're doing a couple more classes this summer, and then you're saying you're going to pause on taking classes. I think you're taking an engraving class with Jeff Park, and you're going to Grandmasters with Michael Robinson, which are both really exciting. Why are you wanting to pause after that and take a backseat on classes? Because if anyone goes into his workshop, you know, he's diligently been through so many classes, and you have so many certificates. You're incredibly credentialed for all that we do here in the jewelry world, but you've decided to pivot your attention. Can you talk to me a little bit about what inspired that?
Absolutely. I think the reason for the pause is something that I've fought against, especially when working for other people. You sort of start to, I think my work started to look very similar to theirs, and I really pushed hard to try to not let that influence in. And as much as I have respect for these artists, I don't want my work to try to almost look like a different version of something that they made. So to have that, I think the influence is in the drive for more creative approaches, but not at all to do what they do.
Yeah. Well, and now that you have so many technical skills developed, you get to ask yourself the question, what stories do I want to tell? What's important to me? Where do I want to offer value? And then you get to go and create it. That's a really special place to be in. And I look forward to seeing you decide what stories are important to you. And then I think naturally they'll just flow. Have you asked yourself that question yet? What story do you want to tell?
It's a new question, for sure. It's a little cliche, but it's a phoenix rising from the ashes. It's um, resilience, and not letting things completely take you out.
Mm.
And I'm just absolutely grateful for everyone who's in my life right now. And everyone that didn't give up on me, supported me through this, as frustrating as it might have been for them. They're really amazing.
And they know who they are.
Yeah, they definitely do.
Yeah. Well, first, let me say thank you for sharing. We appreciate you. I am so glad that when you go through something that rocks your world, it can be very difficult to trust again after that. And you have embraced me with such open arms, and you have encouraged me, and you have believed in me when I had nothing to offer you. That, you know, for people just listening, this podcast is new. And it's something that I have been able to put out into the world that creates value. But before that was in existence, I was truly a kid with a pipe dream. And you believed in me, and you saw me, and you validated me. In so many ways, you know, told me your life story. I wish someone could go back and just validated you and your dreams. And even though you didn't receive that, you're offering it to me now. And I think that it takes a really special person to identify that and recognize that and leave the world a better place than they came into it. So thank you. I appreciate you. You truly are one in a million.
Thank you. I mean, you know what it's like to chase after something and be told anything at all.
Anything negative.
You shouldn't do it.
Yeah.
And I also know what it's like to be supported, and I like to support. I encourage everyone, if they have something that they want to do, they should.
Yeah. So thanks for taking in this kid with a pipe dream and for helping me steward my life at large, because this career is supporting my life. And this career supports your life. And you have had the opportunity to regain the reins of your business, of your mental space, of your physical space, all of it. And I'm super excited for you in the months and years to come. And I can't wait for you to come back from those last few classes and teach me everything that you learned.
Yeah, it's going to be exciting.
When you are taking a class, what do you hope to get out of it?
So it's obviously changed now. It's not so much a technical skill, but it's more of a inspiration. Just being in a creative environment. I think I've become so isolated in my shop that it's a way to get out of that and get out of the routine and break things up and see what other people are doing too.
Yeah, that's so good, because I know that the classes that you're taking this summer are with people that you really respect. And when you have the opportunity to soundboard ideas or just have inspiration through osmosis of being in their presence, it's a great opportunity to funnel the creative juices, if you will, into a short, condensed time period that's so precious. You know, when you get to be with these people who you respect, it's such a coveted time. And I feel that way every time I visit your shop, because I know, okay, I'm coming in with less experience than Brady. And every time I leave, I feel more empowered to do this thing that we have set out to do, which is a difficult thing to do in a long-term format. I think it's really easy to go and make a piece of jewelry one-off, right? But to continuously create in a format that is sustainable is why many artists go mad.
Yeah. Yeah, I think it's an amazing environment to put yourself in, because you know every single person that is also there with you. They're not lazy. They're very driven and very talented, very creative. And going back to who you surround yourself with, it's like, well, those are the people you want to be with.
Yeah. Do you have any advice in regards to sustainability for someone who is either experiencing burnout or just feels like they're in a creative rut and they are solo? I know you tend to typically be alone in your shop. How have you chosen to combat any writer's block, but the jeweler's version?
Breaking up the routine. Go touch some grass. Just, yeah, doing different things. I'm typically a nighttime person. I feel more creative in the evening. I'm waking up super early. Just doing different things, going different places, going into nature.
Easy to do here in Evergreen. I want to talk about the idea that I had that now in private I've been hounding you to pursue for a while, but just recently made a public statement about it, and now I'm kind of known as like the brooch lady. But I had this idea because your logo is so unique a couple months ago, and I proposed it to you to make a brooch because your logo is rose gold. I would love if you made a rose gold brooch and hand engraved it or pavéed it with some super cool natural colored diamonds. I just want to see you make something that's your logo, super sparkly and super unique, and wear it every single day in the shop. And just to wear something that you made.
Oh yeah, it's in the works.
Cool.
It's on the board, and I'm excited to make it. I think it's gonna be really fun. Backstory to my logo is it's a piece from my mom's logo for her company, and that's how it came to be. It was her logo is like a chain link of hexagons, and the shape that centerpiece formed is what mine is. So she's had it for over 40 years.
Yeah.
And so I've adopted that for about 10 years now.
And this really is, the two of you are the superstars of this show. She helps so much. She's in here all the time. Shout out Mom. I love her. She's the best.
Yeah, she really is. Yeah, without her, this wouldn't look like this. This wouldn't be.
Well, I think a character trait that you inherited from her is her intentionality. Because she met my husband a couple years ago now once, and he just mentioned in passing, I think, that he was doing some blacksmithing. And the next time that she saw him, she literally gifted him a whole book on blacksmithing, and it still sits on our coffee table to this day. And gosh, Sharon, we love you.
Yeah, she's the best. She really is. She's been the whole everything, the backbone of this. So this is a family business. We've created this together. And it's not just me, a one-man show. Even though I do my work typically alone, it really is a team, family business.
And she gets to wear all the fun pieces. She has first dibs and a ton of access to all the sparkly things.
It's best when somebody's wearing it and enjoying it. People really take more notice than when it's sitting in a showcase. Speaking
of, I want to talk about your approach to jewelry making in regards to your respect to ancient technique and your incorporation with modern technology, because you are so on the ball when it comes to having what you need to do a job. Yet you have such an ancient approach where you fabricate everything. Like, you're not cutting corners in the sense like you're, pouring it into a cast or whatever. You're still hand making everything, but you've got the tools to do it. Can you talk to me a little bit about how that came to be?
Yeah, so I don't think that I have the most modern, updated equipment in a sense. Some of these tools were invented 500 years ago. They're just made to a different standard now. But in the sense of, like, even with all the updates, there's no help in it. It doesn't make you a better jeweler. I can't push a button and have it and walk away from it. There's something there when I return. I can do that 1,000 times over. Every tool that I operate is by my hand and my skill. So even though it takes electricity to use it, or compressed air, or even, I think the laser is the most high-tech thing.
Yeah. And a laser is in most shops now.
Yeah.
Most jewelry shops have a laser. So That's nothing like out of the box. I think you love your tools.
Yeah, yeah. Even then, you have to use it right. Yeah, so I can't walk up to the laser, set the ring in there, and it carries out an operation for me, and I come back and it's ready for the next step. I can still mess it up.
It's a tool, not a machine.
So I think it's important to me to differentiate that. There's upgrades to the tools and equipment. It doesn't do anything. I still have to control it.
You have informed a lot of my mindset when I decided to pivot my career and approach a new journey of bench training. Can you talk to me a little bit about what it was like observing me from the genesis, from your perspective as a seasoned jeweler? And can you reiterate some of the advice that you gave me and any encouragement for anyone just out there who's getting started and doesn't know where to start?
It took me 7 years just to save up money to go to jewelry school. I mean, these schools, they're technical schools that you sit in a classroom Monday through Friday, 8 hours a day. It's like a job. And to be able to take that time off to pay for it and do all of that took a long time to get to that point where I could sit at the bench. And I think that experience at the time, I hated it. It was so frustrating to me. And looking back now, it helped so much that I had experience on the sales floor, interacting with customers, and then interacting with the bench jeweler. Like starting off from that end, I think, so the most important advice is that any experience is good experience, not a waste of time. It really helps whatever side you're on of just how the industry works. And so I would say wherever you're starting, if it's not where you want to be, but you can move into that realm. But have some patience and take it in, and you'll be glad you know what you learned.
Yeah, that was my narrative. Was I had been working in the trade and wanted to pivot from sales to the bench, and I dropped that idea by Brady, and I was like, I just don't think anyone's going to take me seriously. I don't think I can do it. I don't know where I would even go. I don't know where I would start. And you were there every single step of the way to encourage me. So you actively followed that advice yourself to me. And you were the example of that advice to me. Not only did you give it, but you exemplified it. And I also need to maybe hear him when he says, be a little bit more patient. Because I'm eager to get going. I'm excited.
You'll get there. And I think the discovery is really fun.
Yeah. If there was a skill that you could go back and relearn for the first time, what would it be?
I think I had the most fun with hand engraving. It was just so cool. My first ones were awful, and it took a really long time to kind of understand how the tool works. After a certain point, when you're working with these kind of things, your sense of feeling kind of extends into the tool.
Oh, that's really cool.
Yeah. So it's not like the ends of your fingers, it's the end of the... You start to feel how the file is cutting, or your saw, or your graver tip. It's really cool to kind of get to that point.
Yeah. What would you like people to know about you if they're new to your work or new to your space? And what would you like to say?
So to all the people that are new to my work, I would just like to say, welcome. If you're in the area, it's a totally different thing to see it in real life and hold. Would love to show you. It's one thing to see it online, but if you're in the area, definitely come in And I would love to have you and show you what I do. It's a totally different thing to try it on and experience in real life. I think it's just one of those things that you just can't get through a screen.
Yeah, come tour the studio. It's such a special space. It's such a special experience. Where can people find you? What's the best way to get in contact with you?
Instagram at Brady Mesch, and my website is bradymesch.com.
Which is so exciting because he's also launching a new version of the website in the coming weeks, right?
Yep.
Awesome. Yeah, so probably by the time that this interview goes live, or very shortly after.
Yeah.
Wonderful. How are you feeling? You feeling like we're good to wrap?
I think so.
Thank you so much for your time. Thank you for encouraging me. Thank you for sharing. You are one of a kind. I'm very grateful for you.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Tune in next week.